You're listening to the Beyond Mommy Dearest podcast, where we talk about growing up with narcissistic moms, how it shapes your nervous system, your relationships, and your sense of self, and how to heal without shame. I'm your host, Noelani Pearl Hernandez.
This episode is sponsored by the Happy Cannabis, body products designed to help you on your healing journey by supporting your nervous system with every application.
Today's episode is a powerful one. I'm joined by filmmaker and narcissistic educator Mark Vicente for a conversation about cult leaders, narcissistic mothers, coercive control, trauma bonds, and the hidden psychological patterns they all share. This episode is intense, validating, and one you're not going to forget. Let's dive into it.
Many people don't like the idea that monsters really do exist.
In the world we live in now, narcissism is incentivized. It's rewarded.
The message is, if you're a narcissist, you're going to end up on top. You're going to end up rich and famous and powerful.
It can help you get dates. It can help you get elected.
So they're kind of winning.
How dangerous do you think this man is?
I became very interested in trying to answer the question, what the fuck is wrong with people?
Do you feel bad for what you've done to these women?
It's the psychological abuse that, to this day, is so hard to undo.
There is beauty in destroying another human being. There is an infinite power in eradicating another person. It's intoxicating.
I don't think people like the idea that evil is walking not only amongst them, but might be sleeping next to them, and maybe their next door neighbor.
Up is down, down is up.
I am a self-aware narcissist. I have been clinically diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder.
You are so easy to manipulate. It's ridiculous.
It feels magical. When people tell me magical connection, I'm usually like, run away.
I knew nothing of narcissism or narcissistic abuse for 12 years that we were married.
They both were very narcissistic, very controlling. I'll tell you the difficult part of this story.
Everybody stops at, oh, they're incapable of empathy. Yeah, that's the tip of the iceberg. They're not capable of humaning.
I believe that I am the next target.
Man is a fucking animal and he belongs in prison.
So long as the normals and the empaths remain unaware of narcissists moving in their midst, then we will prevail.
He's over there. He's behind us. Yeah, he's over there. That's him.
Thank you, Mark, for being here. Your story is a real testament to what the power of community and the power of strength that you have. And I'm so excited that you're here. My daughter, who you might have just heard text message me, is reminding me not to fangirl over talking with you.
I fan over a whole bunch of people still in my life. I still do that.
Well, and it's weird because we were just talking about, there are certain things that narcissistic abuse survivors watch that people just might not understand. And the fact that I'm fangirling over someone who is a taker down of cults and talks about narcissistic abuse, people might not understand, but hopefully the people who are listening do. So thank you.
I think they will.
Okay, good.
I think that we're probably obsessed with the same thing, so I think they'll get it.
Yes, yes, definitely. So for people who are just discovering your story for the first time, can you introduce yourself and share a little bit about your background as a filmmaker and how you first became involved with NXIVM?
I'll do the fast version. So I was born in South Africa during the apartheid era, way back in 1965. And pretty early on, I could see that there was something wrong in the country. And it became my obsession to figure out, how do I fix it? Which is weird as a kid. I had this dream of trying to figure out what I could do. And then I think when I was about 11 or 12, I discovered, like, I watched Star Wars and I was like, oh my God, this is what you do. You make movies and you change the world. So it was my obsession to try and improve things. And I wanted to do it through movies. So long story, I worked, for many years in South Africa in the film industry. I got a big break to come to Hollywood to shoot a movie there. I ended up staying, and I got involved in a bunch of different organizations, and I finally, after years of making stuff I didn't really enjoy, I finally made a film called What the Bleep Do We Know, which sort of unified the stuff I really cared about. A group of people, I found out later, saw the film. Many people saw the film, but they saw the film and they thought, we want this guy. We want this guy to work for our organization. And so I got this amazing letter from these two women who said, like, we want to invite you to a symposium with all these people. And they were all scientists that I really admired. I said, well, that sounds kind of exciting. So I spoke to them, and we started developing a friendship. And they basically said to me, hey, we can help you with your mission. And I said, what do you mean? They said, well, we know you want to make movies to change the world. And I said, I do. And they said, well, we have the resources to help you and the people to help you. They picked me up in Learjets, flew me all over the country, it really buttered me up. And they said, we have a mentor that you should meet. He's the smartest man in the world, yada, yada, yada. I believed it. I went and did a course with them. The course was actually amazing. And it was actually kind of mind-blowing. And I thought, wow, this is really incredible. You guys actually help shift people's perception, which is exactly what I'm trying to do with movies. And they said, exactly, this is what we were trying to tell you. So long story, I get involved with them, begin working with them, traveling between New York and LA. 12 years later, I find out it's a cult and there's terrible things happening that I did not know. And it was actually my wife that helped me see this. So all of this is chronicled in a two-season television series on HBO called The Vow. So if anybody wants to know, there's 16 episodes. Season 1 is 9 episodes. Season 2 is 6 episodes. It's really intense. We got the guy in prison. He's now serving 120 years. He's served 4 years already. A bunch of the co-conspirators were put in prison, and I became obsessed because I missed it, because I didn't see the signs of what I was looking at, which was in essence narcissistic psychopathy. I became obsessed with trying to understand what narcissism was, because even inside my cult, we were being taught about psychopathy and we were being taught about narcissism. It just never occurred to us to look at our leader and think, well, maybe he's the one that's, he's got the pathology. We just didn't know that. So that became my obsession, to understand, okay, what did I miss and how did I not see it? And how, because people would say, well, you're kind of smart. And I go, well, yeah, but I don't think smart makes a difference. Like intellectually smart doesn't mean anything with these kinds of people, because they're very good at what they do. And if you are like me, or like I was maybe, just projecting goodness on everybody, you completely miss it. Yeah. So that's kind of the story of how I became obsessed with narcissism, which led me to make this film, Narcissist Playbook, because I was trying to make sense of what I had dealt with. And as you know, one of the things that we did, we ended up interviewing self-confessed narcissists, because I wanted to really understand like how their minds work, because see, I never got that kind of closure from my cult leader. Yes, my cult leader was in prison. The FBI moved in, worked with him for years, put him away. The cult is in shambles. But he never admitted anything. He never confessed anything. So I got to sit with people with the pathology and ask them questions, and it was weirdly healing. And they said some really, really evil stuff, as you know.
Yes.
But I got to understand, oh, that's how you, this is how you work. So because the archetype's the same. Talking to them was the same as talking to my cult leader. The archetype is the same. And I began to understand what I'd been dealing with all these years that I had missed. It was a difficult journey to finally come to terms with it, but making the film actually helped me understand what I was dealing with, and that this kind of evil actually exists in the world. So that's the very fast version.
Which I think encapsulates a lot of it. And there's a lot of things in there. First of all, 16 episodes, totally worth it. Take a weekend, people, watch it. I will link to it in the show notes so you have it. I think that very similar to the narcissistic abuse that I came from my mother, it is, how do you miss it? It's a constant question. And especially as, for me, I'm a very just person, even before understanding that my mom was a narcissist, and I could call it out for other people all the time. That's wrong. That's wrong. And that's something that's really common. And I think that when you think about being a nice person, I would agree with that. I think that if we can look at the way that people are as I'm a nice person or I'm a kind person, and looking at being kind but having boundaries, that's what kindness has. And being nice is, oh, of course, do whatever you want, right? Those knowing those two things. And for me personally, with my 4 kids, my daughter and my 3 bonus kids, it's something that's really important to me so that they don't get run over. And the love that you had for your wife is what saved your life. And I think that is a really beautiful thing, because in the vow, I know it doesn't go into all the depths of everything, but you see that progression of the chaos that this horrible narcissistic piece of shit put you all through. And and for me, that person was my mom. My husband will often say, she's 4'11". Why are you still afraid of her? She's super teeny tiny. She's teeny tiny. And I think that that's really hard, because a lot of people don't understand that pull of that narcissistic personality. And for me, and what it sounds like for you, it started with this thought process for me in childhood, for you during, a time where you really wanted to grow who you were, your career. There was something that you were looking forward to. But years of that gaslighting and that conditioning, looking back now, do you think that Keith Raniere saw in you specifically, or what he saw in you specifically that made you someone he wanted to be close to? And then start this process?
Well, first of all, like this insane level of idealism, and this belief that I could actually change the world. I don't quite believe that anymore now. But this belief that if I could just become good enough in my craft and become like a good enough or clear enough human being, I could do extraordinary things. And he saw that idealism, and I think he realized he can leverage that. And also what they realized collectively, the organization, was this guy can put us on the map in a much bigger way, because they were getting so much shit in the press. And I remember the night before I was going to come and attend the first class, I remember calling Nancy Salzman, because I finally did some research and I looked online, and it was bad shit online. And I called her up and I said, just by the way, there's some really bad stuff online. She goes, yeah, but have people said negative things about you as well? I said, yeah. So okay, so they call us a cult. So what? And she kind of I guess she kind of leveraged this feeling I had of look, if you're going to say things, you're going to get pushback. And I said, okay, fine, I'll come. But they saw somebody who was idealistic, and also I'm a ridiculously hard worker. And that's what people don't realize. They love hard workers. They love them. So, I came in and they said, we want to fix our image. We want this, that, and the other. And I said, oh, I can do all that, And so, I spent years trying to help build the organization's look, but it was weird, because at the same time I was doing that, they were constantly thwarting every single thing I was doing. And I just thought, well, I'll just try harder, because that's one of the things with me is I'm so driven that if somebody says no, I'll find a way.
Yes.
So I just keep on going. I'll find a way until probably year 11 in the cult. I was like, I don't think I want to find a way anymore. Something's not right, but I just didn't know what was right. It took a while. It was my wife that showed me what the problem was, because I was literally taking walks with Keith Raniere and saying to him things like, I think there's a psychopath doing things in the organization. He goes, really? I had no idea that it was him.
He was him. Yeah.
I was but I could see something was wrong. I just couldn't see it was him.
Well, and that's a lot of what a narcissist does, right? Because your body and your mind are connected, so you feel it in your gut, right? So your gut was the first time, oh, there's some stuff that they're saying about you, but because these narcissists are so skilled, they common sense us into, of course they are. We're doing something much different. Of course they are. With my mom, of course someone is going to say that. They don't understand my mom often used culture because she's Filipino. So I'm Filipino. My mom immigrated. They don't understand it. It's our culture. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's weird. It's like,
Yeah.
it's your culture to act like that towards your kids. Okay. But you never really question it. And I think that is one of the incredible skills I have also at mirroring, your values. And I heard a lot of that. The
Yeah.
values that you
Yeah.
had, the dreams that you had, and then poking on the insecurity and
Yeah.
even wounds that we might have had.
But also, like, what happened in there, when I got in there, like, they were connected to a lot of powerful people. They were connected to, like, the Clintons, and I was going to India to go and hang out with the Dalai Lama. So there are all these people in their orbit that were the movers and shakers in the world. And I thought, well, this is great because I want to shake the world, and maybe we can all do stuff together. So it wasn't just like that I went to some weird ashram. I went to this organization that was like, flying me around on Learjets, and we're meeting like, some really, really interesting, powerful people. And that was the cover, because they didn't tell all these people what was really going on. They basically accumulated famous and powerful people to make the newbies think like, oh shit, these people are for real.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, I think, well, in my experience with a lot of these like cult type things where they don't tell you exactly what they are on the surface. So they bring you in, they say, and on the surface, if you look at NXIVM, the leadership program, that, looking to achieve like transcendence, all these things make sense. Like it makes sense. But then you get that step deeper, and then you get the step deeper, and you get the step deeper. And it's very unsettling.
It is. And actually, I just want to go to one thing that's interesting. The reason I looked at narcissism so deeply is because I understood that when you look at narcissism in a romantic relationship or a family, it is identical to a cult. The difference is scale.
Yes.
And also what I realized was that, people say like, well, how did you not see it? Because all the shit you're reading about in the press, we didn't see. Like we saw the good stuff. We saw the honey, and narcissists understand this. They understand like they have to put their best foot forward, so they behave in a certain way. It's like, how did you not know the Titanic was going to sink? Because it was a shiny ship. We didn't know it was going to hit an iceberg. You just know about the iceberg story. You don't know about how amazing the Titanic was, how incredible it was, who was on the Titanic. It was the greatest ship that was ever made. You didn't see that shit. You just know about the story afterwards. So they present to you this thing that's very, very attractive. Be it in terms of values, be it in terms of appearance, whatever it is, and that's when I really understood, it's the same thing. And a narcissist in a relationship and a cult leader, they're not that far apart. It's just a level of scale and power.
Right. If my mom and dad had more children than just me, they probably would have had a mini cult.
Yeah, 100%.
And 100%. And my poor dad, he has an affinity for narcissistic women. I don't know if it's a savior complex. My stepmother was a narcissist, but he had no chance over my mom. Just had no chance because the love bombing, and then pulling back, and the love bombing and pulling back. And my dad, God bless his heart, that he has his own mother wound. That was what he needed all the time. So that dopamine hit, that constant of, feeling uniquely seen as or understood in this way that nobody else could do it, but only that person. And, I could see that in the vow. I could see how he could have done that, and because he is a charismatic leader, as most cult leaders are.
Yeah, it's funny. He wasn't that charismatic. What he was, and you'll know this, he had the first meeting I ever had with him, it was 5 hours long. There was a level of attention and what I now call data mining. He was data mining me. And he was reflecting back to me what I was saying in a way that made me feel, holy shit, this guy really gets me like nobody else has ever gotten me. Because he was so attentive and he was so present and nothing else existed. Which of course women have said, oh my God, that sounds like my narcissistic romantic whatever. And I go, yeah, because they're very, very good at that. They laser in and they basically data mine you for everything you care about, everything you're afraid of. They file it away and they're going to use it, at some point.
Right. And I think for me, so my husband and I have been together for 11 years. We've been married for about 5 years now. And when we first met, I protected that. That was like, my mom cannot break into this, because what I found in him was that unconditional love, and that I started to understand that love doesn't have conditions. I didn't have to do XYZ in order to be loved by him. That all of who I am, quirky, flaws, all the things, silliness, he loves that. And we have built a life together. And because of that, I knew I couldn't let my mom into any of this fear. She is in the sphere with my daughter because I was younger when I had her and my mom was around. But my daughter also has kind of that blocker on. She's like brilliant at boundaries and all that stuff. She's really, really fantastic. She's all the things when it comes to the boundaries that I wish I was. And so she's really good at that. If my mom asks her about me, she says, I'm not talking to you about that. You know, you can ask me anything else, but I'm not going to talk to you about my mom. I will not let you hurt my mom.
Yes.
And I find that really interesting because that's a strength. I say, you know, my daughter gave me a reason to live and my husband saved me. And so those two people together, they're brilliant. And I look at when you were talking about Bonnie and the precision that you took to like talk to her and sit and like listen and really value her opinion. And even while you were like going through the shit in your head, you're listening to her and you're like, what the hell is going on? You were calm and you were providing this strength for her and also going through it as a person.
She did basically, I always say, you know, my wife Bonnie was the one that took it down. Because she was so driven to try to help me to understand what had happened. And once I realized, then I was working on Sarah, then I was working in Nippy, and then we just started working on everybody. But it was Bonnie's like fierce, I guess, grace and wisdom and love. And it's funny because when we finally aired the vow, because there were some things that Nippy and Sarah hadn't seen yet. Nippy called me, he said, holy shit, like Bonnie's love saved us. I go, yep, it did. 100%.
And I think love is the only thing that saves narcissistic abuse. Because if someone loves you, like I can see some really crazy stuff. And because my husband's love's there, he can say, okay, this is the narcissistic abuse. This is your traumatic response. I'm going to put this to the side. I'm going to love you still. And then you and I are going to have a conversation about what just happened. In fact, it just happened recently where I can't remember what we were talking about, but I said, he was talking to me and I said, oh my God, she set that up for me to feel like that. And then I try not to cry. So tears are running down my face. And I said, give me a moment. And like, I felt his hand on my back. He said, it's okay. The fact that you realize it is totally okay. And now we know, and we can move forward. I'm like, how do you have this crazy superpower? You're like the vampire slayer of narcissistic abuse. And that love is what saved me. And I say that to him, and he is so humble, is like, no, you saved yourself. But I'm like, no, that was you. And I say that because I think for a lot of people who have been through narcissistic, maybe romantic relationships or familiar relationships, it seems like there's just no hope. Often my clients, I'll get a message and say, I feel like there's no hope. I feel like because I had this reaction, there's shame. And my response is always, that's what they want you to feel. And that I love that Bonnie like separated those two to say, this shit is fucked up. Like understood her gut, listened to all of that. Okay, this shit's fucked up. And I love Mark enough. I'm going to go in there and get him. And I'm going to make him listen to me. I'm going to make him listen to me. I don't care what it takes. I will take, forever. And that you then for your, caring your love for Sarah and Nippy and everybody who was involved in the organization. That, I mean, you took down a cult. Like that's crazy.
Yeah. I think a lot of what it was for all of us was we felt this deep responsibility. Like we'd basically enrolled people into an idea that we thought was good. And once we realized like not only was it not good, it was like evil, we were like, okay, we need to now use more energy to get them out. And there's people that never woke up, you know. That's the sad thing. I mean, I think that people experience that with narcissistic relationships as well, or families. Like, you try and explain to people like who this person is, and some will never believe you.
No.
And you just have to go, all right, you know. It was in fact it was the FBI. I think the day before the trial, Bonnie and I were at the FBI building in Brooklyn, and the agents we were working with, there were a whole bunch of them. The agents we were working with said to us, you know, tomorrow's the trial, and just so you know, you never have to try and help people in your life again. You've done enough. You've done more than enough. Because we'd been saying months before, like, we can't get him out. We can't wake him up. And the agent's like, yeah, you're not going to wake some of them up. And it's like, no, we can do it. We can do it. And they said, you don't have to do that again. But apparently I didn't listen, because I'm still, this is still my mission. Not so much with the cult, you know. Now it's more with other cults and other, and you know, this general pattern.
Yeah. Well, and you know, to me, it's so crazy. And what I will say is, you know, again, that love is what's going to save it. It's you helping people recognize enough to love themselves, because that's really, for me, what it is. Like, when I think about it, is if I hear my mom's voice, God, she's like the meanest bitch I've ever met, just in there all the time. Right.
Yeah.
And then I say, no, I love myself. Okay. What does that look like? I'm going to push that out. And that is a huge thing. And, you know, I think that I watched Sarah, and Sarah said the same thing. Sarah Edmonds said, you know, I feel a deep, deep responsibility to help the people that I was, you know, it was a wool over my eyes, and I continued that. And that I think is a really caring thing, because you could have just said, okay, I'm going to be done.
Yeah.
I'm done. I can't do anything else. I'm a shell of a person. That's what I'm going to do. But the fact that you all, and that you continue, this movie, I think, is instrumental into helping people understand what's going on in the context of our world. You know, I think that's a really important thing, because things are happening, much like we'll say something, well, this is what my mom did. Like, people don't believe when I say some of the stuff that my mom did. They're like, that doesn't make sense. And I was like, no, that's what she did.
Yeah.
And you don't have to believe me.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting, because one of the missions I had with making this film, we're talking about Narcissist Playbook now for the audience, not The Vow, is to really dissuade people from the Pollyanna vision of, like, you can just love pathological people back into health.
No.
Like, I really wanted people to understand, like, these people exist. They operate this way. They do not have the same brain and nervous system as you do.
No.
You can't reason with them.
No.
They operate differently, and you can't keep insisting that they are who you are. You know? And the other thing I was thinking, as you were saying, as you were speaking, I was thinking to myself, you know, and I know this is going to sound like a contradiction, because in the film we talk a lot about narcissism and narcissists, but I do also recognize, you know, somebody contacted me last night who actually had spent time with Keith Raniere in prison or something, like had.
Oh, interesting.
You know, and it was really interesting. And,
that's
and I was
interesting.
realizing, like, I don't spend time thinking about Keith Raniere much at all, which has been very good for me. But I recognize that what all of us do when we get hurt by somebody, we begin obsessing about the person that hurt us. You know, why don't they understand? I wish they would change. I wish they would apologize. And I'm beginning to also think that sometimes we do that because it's easier to obsess about them than it is to look at our own relationship with ourselves, which is in need of care and attention. But it's very hard, because we have, in some ways, you could say, I suppose in terms of like internally family systems, we've disappointed ourselves. We feel like we've betrayed ourselves.
Yes.
And so it's so difficult to look at, and maybe there's moral injury as well, as was the case with me, that it's easier just to, like, focus on the narcissist rather than think about, how do I repair my relationship with myself, and how do I bring me back to me? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Because, you know, if there's a natural reaction that I have based on the abuse that happens, I'm not mad at my mother. I'm mad at myself. I'm ashamed of what happened, because I'm like, why would I, okay, and let me dig a little bit deeper. Like, why did I do that? What has caused this to occur? And it is okay. You know, we are first of all, we're human beings. We're not perfect.
Mhm.
And you like there, I want to make it clear, I'm not saying that it is the survivor's fault.
Mm.
And the survivor was, you know, totally duped by this person.
Mhm.
But it is the survivor's responsibility to heal.
Mhm.
And so what does that healing look like? And that healing looks like getting away from that person,
Yeah.
getting in a space where you can ask the hard questions, crying, yelling, screaming, sleeping, all of the things that you were never allowed to do. Never.
Yeah.
And getting through that. And it can be with a person who loves you. It could be alone. It doesn't matter. But there does have to be some healing that occurs with another person in a relationship, because that's how you test it. And
100%.
that's so, for me, that's so important. That it was when I knew that I am healed, but I still have some of those automatic reactions. Right.
Yeah.
And that I have to give myself grace for. And that's, like you said, that love for yourself to say, okay, I just messed up. And going through that cycle faster, if you can start to go through that cycle much faster than you used to.
Mhm.
And I think a good vision of that cycle is, had talked about this, was you talking with Bonnie, you internalizing what was going on, you giving Bonnie the space to hear her, understand her, working on your relationship, but then also saying, what the fuck? In your head. And that process took a little bit of a time. I would assume now, based on my experience, that process is really fast. That you can get through it a lot faster than you did in the haze of the narcissist.
Yes, much faster now. I mean, what you see in the vow are just snippets of moments from like 2017 mostly, which is, I mean, I was like having all kinds of suicidal ideation, and there was all kinds of things going on, and it just like my world was shattered. So it took me time to calibrate. And what actually happened, I think this is in the vow. What actually happened finally is, the thing that really snapped things for me is Bonnie said to me, "What will it take? What do you need to take in what I'm saying?" And I said, "I need evidence." She said, "Great, I'll get you evidence."
Yes, that was
because
in
what
there.
happened in our particular cult is you became so like data driven. You weren't using your gut instinct, and you data driven. So she said, "Great, I'll bring you data." And then she gave me, she had two women reach out to me to tell me what happened. And I totally believed them, because I was like, that makes perfect sense. And then I went back to cult leader Raniere, and I began asking him questions, and I realized he was lying. That's what it took for me to finally, like, for the crack to happen. And then after, a year later, as you say, it was much faster, because when I finally understood what I was stuck in, and also realizing that like a lot of the reactions that I was having, that I still have in my life, I still have certain reactions, and now I realize, oh, it's based on the mother wound, or it's based on this, or it's based on that. It is much faster. Sometimes what I need to do is, sometimes I just need a moment of stillness.
Yes.
Just to like pull myself towards myself and be able to separate me from the reaction I'm having. And sometimes it takes a little time. Sometimes it takes a walk. Sometimes it takes just sitting still and going like, what I found that is not good for me, and you alluded to this, is punishing myself for like just being me.
Yes.
Then it just gets worse. It takes longer.
Oh, yeah. Well, and the thing about it is, and what I've seen with a lot of narcissistic abuse survivors, is they're very nice people.
Oh, yeah.
They're very nice.
Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of what captured them into it. They're very nice.
So forgiving. So forgiving.
So forgiving. Okay, no big deal. I remember my first relationship when my ex-husband, he did something, and it was like, if I said it out loud, you would be like, what the hell? And I was like, oh, it's no big deal. And that was the moment in my mind where I was like, oh my God, I just married my mother.
Yes.
Like, I remember, and I like went for a drive, and I was like, what did I do? Like, what have I done? I had this man adopt my daughter. I pushed her dad out. What have I done? And I've now spent my life reversing all of that. And, it's hard. It's a hard thing.
It is. But, I was just thinking, like, the other thing that has taken me some time to do is because I still interact with people that get very upset when they react a certain way, and I think to myself, man, we just need to cut ourselves some slack. There was a conversation I saw early this morning between Dr. Ramani and Valerie Bertinelli, the actress. And Valerie was saying, she has something about having shame about allowing something to happen. And Ramani said, I just need to correct you. You didn't allow it to happen. You didn't know what was happening. And that's the thing people sometimes think, because they now know what happened, they think they should have known then. And I say to people, where's your degree in narcissism? Like, where did you learn as a child that people didn't have empathy, and they behaved in a way that you thought was, empathetic, but isn't?
Yeah. Right.
Nobody's trained anybody to do that. That's why I'm so obsessed with trying to teach people, like, this is how these people work. This is how this shit works, because I think at least then you have a chance.
Yeah.
But I really believe this to my core now. I don't just say it. Like, we really always just did the best we could with what we had. Maybe we were too codependent. Maybe we were too needy because of this, that, and the other. Okay, fine. Everybody is.
Right.
That's not like a sentence of like, well, you're the reason the narcissist screwed you over. No, the narcissist screwed you over because they have a pathology and they're predators.
Yes.
That's what happened.
I think that is the key word. They are predators. And to be really frank in regards to this, and not to say anything about who we are as people, you are just another pond. You are just a person that's in front of them.
Totally. Yeah,
and
totally.
that, I think for me, once I understood that, like, I thought, oh, it would have been great if I had siblings. My mom would have treated us all the same. My mom treated me and my dad exactly the same way. She treats her, if they're still married, she treats her current husband, she treated him the same way. It is ingrained in her to be like this.
Yes.
And that's fine. I don't want her in my life. And that's fine too. And that's,
100%.
I think that's really like, I think, and I often talk about this, the disservice that people like Oprah and Mel Robbins are doing by saying that someone like me who makes the choice to go no contact with a parent is a spoiled brat. I say, okay, we live in this world where cookie cutter ideas work.
Yeah.
We think, how about this? We think that cookie cutter ideas work. It doesn't work.
No.
You're dealing with humans. You're dealing with emotion.
No. And also, like, this whole business of you need to forgive them. Well, first of all, go fuck yourself.
Yes.
Secondly, like, I'm not going to do that with somebody that has bad intent and is a predator and is looking for weakness. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do like, oh, what a cute crocodile. No.
No, exactly. My family of choice is my in-laws. My mother-in-law is a saint. My grandmother-in-law is a saint. And one of my husband's aunts is just amazing. And I was talking to her about something and I said, I'm not the type of person who forgives. I hold a grudge. And she said, we hold a grudge until we die. And I was like, yes, we do. Like that's the way it is, because if I don't, I know for me, if I don't, then I will not have this superpower that you and I share. My husband has, of finding narcissists. Yeah. And we know exactly what it takes. It's not that hard. They're the most fragile people I've ever met. So it's not that hard to get them to break and take the mask off. It's not that hard. And that's what I tell a lot of people, so they understand, like, if I feel some type of way about someone, it's not because I don't like them. It's because I'm getting something from them. I am, as a lot of narcissists find people who are empaths to deal with because it's a little bit easier for them to control. I think that is a superpower to be able to find more people. And when I think of just escaping these, narcissistic systems, it's really complex. For you, there was a lot that was tied into it. For me, it's my mother. And I think that there's, a grief that a lot of people go through. There's the 5 stages of grief that you go through. I thought that I lost my identity. There's the trauma bond attachments. And for you leaving this, and I mean, let's be honest, like 12 years is a long time. That's like a large fraction of your adult life.
Yeah.
So I don't want anyone to not understand. In the vow, it looks like it was only a couple of years, but it was 12 years.
Yeah.
It was a very long time.
Yeah.
Did leaving to you feel like more freedom at first, or was it the grief that kind of overtook it, or was it something completely different?
I think at first, interesting question. I'm never one just to come out with answers. I always want to dig in and see, like, is it different? So I think the first thing was the sense of moral injury. The sense that I had participated in something that ended up hurting a lot of people. You know, and you know, people would say to me at first, yeah, but you know, that wasn't your intent. I go, yeah, but it still hurt people. So at first it was the feeling like everything was upside down and backwards, that everything that I thought I was doing was not true. Because my obsession was towards goodness and towards helping people, towards making the world better. And so that's what I thought I was doing. What I didn't understand is that I was also feeding people. Because look, some parts of the curriculum were actually very good for people. As long as they didn't get too close to the inner circle, they were fine.
Yes. Yes.
But those that got in, it was really not good. So what was also happening is I was feeding people into his perversions and his delusion and his evil. And the recognition that I had been an instrument of that was like, I just couldn't take it. And so in some ways what happened is I didn't know how to resolve that. And I just went straight to rage. A kind of a cold rage, not just like I'm throwing shit around, like a determined white hot rage.
Fuck you. Yeah.
I'm going to fucking take you down.
Yeah. Yep.
Because what happened is we realized, and when we spoke to each other, like the only way some people were going to get out is if the entire thing collapsed and they had nothing to hold on to anymore. So I guess the moral injury was the thing at first. My life was in complete shambles. And this is the thing, and I want to say to anybody who's a narcissist or a psychopath or a sociopath, beware the empath that has nothing to lose. Because we are fucking formidable. And I don't say that lightly, because what I realize is like I'm fucked. Because at that point I realized, oh, they're gonna put me in prison because they've done all this shit to like these allegations in Mexico. I knew what they were gonna do. That's why I documented everything, because I thought I'm gonna have to sit in front of a judge one day who's gonna accuse me of being the bad guy and show them everything I videoed. But what happens is when you have nothing to lose and they're coming after you, you just take big, bold action and big chances that you would never do ordinarily, because you've like your back's against the wall and you go, okay, I'm screwed. All right, then I'll just do this. And so I think that's the one thing that these people don't seem to understand. You know, for instance, they don't seem to understand. Ranieri's very lucky, by the way, that he didn't get taken out. Because I was talking to parents who were this far away from doing shit I'm not going to say publicly.
Yep.
Because what these people don't understand, because they don't have an actual narcissists who don't have empathy, they also don't have a mothering instinct, they don't have a fathering instinct, they have a you're just a chess piece instinct. They don't understand what it is to love your child.
Yes, 110%. Yes.
They don't understand what they've just activated. You know, there's nothing more powerful than a mother or a father whose child has been fucked with.
Yes.
And
100%.
And they don't know that. They just don't calculate that in there. So like I sometimes say to people, like, you know, beware the predator who does that, because it's not going to end well.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't disagree. You know, it's so funny because so today is my my stepson's birthday, and I've been with him since he was super little. He was 5 when his dad and I first started dating, or just turning 5, and he now is 15. So he's a little baby. He's a very tall baby man. Right, and so he's discovered romantic relationships and girls. And I'm like, ride or die. A little girl hurts his feelings. I don't care if she's 15. I'm ride or die. I'm going to fight, you know? And that's
terrifying,
the thing,
isn't it?
like, yes, like this is the thing. Like, and I've said this all the time. And you know, that is, I think, what for me pushed me to no contact with my mom. My mom, as a narcissist, she wanted the attention. There was medical abuse there with me. I was always sick, always at the doctor all the time. And I remember My daughter, I think she was between 1 and 2, and my mom had picked her up from daycare and took her to the doctor. I didn't know why. She's like, "Oh, your daughter's sick." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'll take her to the doctor after I get off of work. There's nothing to going on." And then I got a phone call from the doctor. And the doctor said, "Your daughter's here with this woman who's claiming to be her grandmother. Do you want her to be seen?" And I said, "No, I'm on my way." And I left work and I met her there. And I had a conversation with my mom that was, "Don't fucking touch her again. Like, that's it. Don't touch her." And from that point on, I think there was one other time that had left her alone, and it was on a business trip. She was watching my daughter. My daughter called me, she was 7, in tears, saying, "She won't stop." And I said, "What's the matter?" And she said, "She won't stop. All she's doing is talking about you badly and every single thing that you've done." And I think my mom took like 6 years of low contact and tried to like brainwash her in this short period of time. And my daughter was like, "Someone needs to pick me up right now." And so I called my best friend at the time. She picked her up and she said, "I'll drive across town, take her to school. Not a big deal." And my mom was like, What's going on?" And I those things are, that parental love is something that's unmatched. And when you don't have it, like my mom doesn't have it. My mom led me to the narcissistic relationship. She doesn't have it. My mom loves my ex-husband. Of course. He was destroying me. Right. And so that I think is really interesting. But once that fog left and there was like this emotional aftermath for me that my husband has so graciously traveled with me through, and that anger and that shame and all that relief and grief, do you feel that it like coming back up at all? Like, for instance, you got that message which is so weird, from a person who served time with Keith in jail. Like, does it trigger something in you where you're like, I don't want to deal with this?
Not so much with the Nixium stuff. It's weird. I'm in a strange place now. And maybe it's strange because I don't feel as reactive anymore. I feel this, I don't get like mad and upset about these people, but I have a determination that is interesting. And like, as a filmmaker, like making Narcissist Playbook, it took us over 5 years. It's taken like a level of determination that's extraordinary. I have another series about another cult. I've been working on that for over 5 years. I just am very, very determined. What I do feel is, as I talk to a lot of people and I'm interviewing a lot of people all the time who have been hurt, I feel a lot of grief and I feel a lot of sadness. But I don't have the rage anymore. I think what's happened is that's turned now just into dogged pursuit of exposure. Like what I want is, I want people to see how it works. And that's what my life, not all of my life, but that's currently what a lot of my mission is about, is I want people to see how it works. And that's why, making this film is very important, because as you know, you've seen the film, it is quite, what's the word? Shocking.
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 It's shocking. And just so y'all know, we did not plan that. Like that, it is like my mouth on the ground where I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. So I know that May 30th, it's going to come out to be able to stream. Am I right on the date?
So what's happening is, for people that are donating, because we're still raising money, we need to raise money for marketing and advertising and outreach and putting it in theaters ourselves. So for those people that have donated, they're going to get a screening, an online screening on May 30th, and then we'll probably in July it'll get out to everybody else. But just to go back to the shock, I think the thing that I'm so very, very proud of with this film, and it wasn't the original idea, it's what happened, is I'm very proud that it takes people through the experience of what it's like to be fucked over.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like, because you go along and you believe a certain thing, and then suddenly you get fucked over, and a lot people who are survivors go like, "That's what it's like."
That's 100%. Yeah.
Right? That's what it's like. And so what they want to do is they want to say to people that haven't been screwed over, you need to see this film because you'll understand how I didn't see it. You know?
Yes. Well, and I think that's a real important thing for people to understand. And I felt seen after I saw it. Like that, and those moments are far and few between now, not because I'm not healing, but because there's usually not that much of a shocking moment. Like
Sure.
The current context of our nation, where I'm like, of course that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Of course that's what's happening. Yeah. Of course we're peeling back that. I think for me, like the shocking thing more recently is like, what are they doing? Like they have been caught. What are they doing?
Yeah.
And the depths of that. So for me, it's so crazy. Right?
It's so interesting. Like, I mean, like one of the things that's interesting as well, because I'm still harping on about the Epstein files. Like, you know.
Okay. Yes, we could go all day.
I'm still going on about that every day because I'm like,
don't forget.
What is it with you people? You just suddenly are on to like UFOs now and some other shit. Like the leaders of the world.
Yes.
Eat babies.
Yes, that's the thing. Like I was literally like, I looked at my husband. I was like, what the fuck? And he's like, what the fuck? And so
I think that what the fuck is appropriate, and I think it has to keep on going on because I don't want this to be normalized. You know, I want people to understand like this is not normal. And they say, oh, but it's not my guy. I don't give a fuck. They're all in somehow in cahoots in some way. Stop this left-right bullshit. Come on.
No. You know? Yeah. Here's what I have to say. You know, if you got to burn it all down to the ground, then burn it all down to the ground.
100%.
Like when it comes to kids, that's my line. That is the line. Yes. The line is don't fuck with kids. They were children. Like, and I think for people they have a hard time relating because these are grown women that are talking about what happened. But they weren't grown women.
No.
They were not grown women. They were babies. They were young children. And, you know, people laugh because my daughter's 30. I say she's still a baby. She's not a baby. She's an adult. Sure. But being a baby helps me, like, with that thought process of she's going to make mistakes. And I give her more grace if there's mistakes that are made.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I fear is my son is handsome and tall, just like his dad. But when he goes out into the world, he looks like a man. He doesn't look like a 15-year-old. So is he going to be judged by other people around him in the sense that he's a man? Or is he like, do they see what I see? I see a little baby man who, you know, talked to me for hours about Spider-Man and Iron Man, like, and just the amazing things. And they were children. So if we have to burn it all down, you're already wrecking democracy anyway. Sure. Burn it all down.
Sure.
Start all over.
I'm on board. I believe in exposure, you know, and like I was thinking about who was the head of somebody who said, you know, if we exposed everything would collapse. And I'm like, good.
Yeah. Good. Pam Bondi. She's a piece of shit too.
I was like, Pam, like what? Come on, Pam. Come on.
Yeah, you know? Exactly. Just get it together. Who cares? And I think that very similarly to the Epstein files, the women in NXIVM is who I was so disappointed in.
Yes.
Meaning the upper level, not like Sarah or Bonnie or anything, but the upper level where they were bringing Nancy Salzman, her, exactly, because she knew what was going on, and her crocodile tears in the vow where she was like, but I didn't know what was going on and Keith was so mean. If he was mean, fucking leave.
Yeah.
Fucking leave. I don't know what else to say.
I mean, listen, I remember in 2015, this was 2 years before everything collapsed. I took a walk with Nancy Salzman and I said, can I just ask you, like, do you notice that he's really shitty to you? And she was like, no. I said, he's really mean to you. Like, how is that okay? And she just couldn't take it in. It's interesting, by the way. There's another series that I'm working on. It's called Instaguru, and it's about this guy, Bentinho Massara.
Yes, I saw. Yeah.
So there are women high up that are like close to him that are basically the same. They just are protecting him no matter what. And I mean, I'm exposing things on that particular podcast that are, especially the last one, episode 7. It's shocking. It is so shocking that I think that YouTube has throttled it you know, because
Interesting.
well, I think one of the reasons is you're not allowed to use the word rape, apparently. Like somehow that's
No.
being scrubbed
Yeah.
from the English language.
Yep.
I'm like, what the fuck are you people doing?
I know.
It's being throttled. But like when you hear what's happened, and you go like, how is it possible that a woman next to him who had this done to her as well is still on board? Well, of course I understand. It's trauma bonding. I get it. I understand that.
100%. Yeah.
And their gut is offline, and everything that makes them, you know, potentially a sensitive human being has been disabled. I get all of that. But I do feel a bit like you, a bit like, okay, I get how the dudes were complete assholes, but come on, ladies. Come on, wake up.
Yeah.
Don't let your sisters get hurt.
Well, and I even went a step further because I know the branding that was involved. I was like, you were holding them down, and it flashed me back to Handmaid's Tale. I'm like,
yes,
there you are holding people down. How in your mind, in your gut, as you're looking at someone in pain or whatever it is, how is that okay? And looking away is not enough.
I'm going to give you a counter argument on that because I actually do understand.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of the doctor that did it, and she has a special problem. Let's just say that. But you know, it's all about framing. This is what cult leaders and high level strategic narcissists do, is they reframe everything. You know, the whole women's group, just to give the audience perspective. So there was Nixon, which was the overarching organization, and inside of it was something called DOS, and DOS was this master slave organization that reported to Raniere. He could do whatever he wanted with the woman, and so they were branded with his initials, like right on their pubic bone. They believed that they were joining some kind of a badass, you know, club, sorority to make them stronger, because they'd been convinced at that point that they were weak and they didn't have what it took, and so they needed to become stronger. You know, better entrepreneurs, better this, better that, better the other. And what they were told all the time is you need to be more like men who can take it, which, by the way, was kind of weird because the men in Nixium were complete fucking weaklings, you know, so like, whatever. Nippy and I would joke about that shit all the time. So their framing was, I'm helping this person. And I get it, because like, you know, people that know how to run psyops in intelligence, they know how to do this to people, to convince somebody that the thing they're doing is actually a good thing. But like, you know, when you start to get to like suicide bombers, you know, I would start to think like, okay, you should like rethink this thing. And also the issue was that they kept on arguing that Sarah had somehow done this of her free will. I'm like, oh no, you can't blackmail somebody and then tell them to lie down so you can cauterize a symbol on their pubic bone and call it free will when they are already collateralized with blackmail. They cannot say no. You know, anyway, that's 100%. A long, complicated discussion, but you know, you get what I'm saying.
I totally get it. I mean, and I think for a lot of narcissistic abuse survivors, they don't understand what that blackmail is. Meaning there is a lot of it. Like I think of, like I remember it's so clearly I had my daughter when I was 18, and my mom, I was living at her house for a very short period of time at that time, and she had these loan officers come over. And my parents had been divorced for some time, and she's like, why don't you come out here? I need you to sign this document. And I said, what is this? And I look over and it's for a house. And she wanted to put my name on a document that, I mean, just last year, if I would have been in it still, I was turned 48. Last year, I would have had the house. But I was like, this seems really weird. Like, why do you need my information? I'm not going to live there. And they're like, oh, we just need your income. I was like, the fuck no, you don't. And I like went and called my grandpa, who was a saint. And I said, Grandpa, you know, my mom has asked me to sign this document. And my grandpa was like, no, absolutely not. Do not sign it. Daughter in the car, come over right now. So I went over. And the interesting thing is that story I have heard from several other daughters and sons of narcissistic mothers. And just more recently, my dad was saying to me, hey, if I pass away, the where he lived is going to he lives in a mobile home up in Oregon. They're going to keep the house. They're not going to give it to you. It's a whole thing. So I want to put your name on the house. I said, no. And he said, well, why not? I said, no, thank you. Why don't you, give it to the VA? Donate it to the VA, give it to them, because I don't know if he wanted to do it. I would suspect he wanted to take out a second loan on the house and use my income. Like, there's all of these things. I could think about the financial abuse that happened with you all. And like, I was reading Sarah's book, or maybe it was the a little bit culty book. They were talking about how they stair step. Oh, well, if you can't afford that, why not do this? And I see a lot of that in the MLM stuff on Instagram and Facebook, where they're like, do you want more organic people to be a part of your, Instagram? Pay me $7,000 and I'll tell you how. No, you don't need $7,000.
Yeah.
Like, it's not any part of that. So I just, first of all, want to say thank you again. I absolutely appreciate you being your honestness, the work you're doing. Whatever you need help with, let me know. Like, ideas, whatever. Just
honestly,
holler.
the greatest thing that we can that everybody can do at this point is just talk about the film, talk about what we're doing, let people know it exists. Of course, donations are very helpful, because I actually did a post on Instagram maybe 2 days ago, just explaining, like, we don't have a studio behind us, we don't have a streamer behind us. We have enemies.
And they're drinking the haterade.
We're getting some attacks at the moment. I'm probably going to post about that later today. So, like, every little donation helps us, because we have all the stuff we're trying to do. And there are people that really do not want this film to get out in the world.
Right.
It's very threatening to some people.
And what we'll do is we'll make sure we put the link for donations, the link for the movie to sign up, be an early donor, so you can see it. This is going to be released right before it goes out. So we'll release this. I might do a special release of the podcast, just so that we can get people on board. And, I always close with this question. If someone is feeling trapped in a narcissistic relationship, whether it be a cult leader or a family member or a romantic relationship, what would you want them to know that you know today?
Oh, that's so interesting. I don't know if this is the best idea, but this is what I've been thinking of, because I think a lot about people in the political cults right now, and there's a bunch of them.
Yes.
I think it's really good to, like, look at what are your values and really, like, dig in. Like, put aside the leaders, put aside what everyone else is saying. Like, what are your values? What do you believe in? What is good and bad to you? And then look around you and see if you're living those values or not. Because if you're not, I think there might be an issue, because what happens is you start to suppress your own values, and you start to suppress what you think is good and bad, and you end up doing things that, if you really looked at it, you'd be like, I don't think this is good what I'm doing. That little voice that we are trying to push away. Like, I've been in relationships. I was in a marriage a long time ago where I used to push that little voice away, because I was afraid if the little voice got too loud, everything would fall apart. And I want to encourage people to listen to that little voice. Like, it's there for a reason. It keeps on nagging at you for a good reason. It's you. It's you trying to get up to your conscious awareness to, like, say there's these things that are, like, not feeling right. I think that would be the biggest piece of advice I have for people, is don't let that voice stay smothered.
Yes.
Like, it's trying to tell you something, and it's good to listen, and in the end, what it wants for you is good. And if that means that your current circumstance is going to fall apart, maybe that would be good for you.
Yep. You never know what's on the other side.
Never.
Mark, thank you. I really appreciate you.
I watched an early release of the Narcissistic Playbook, and I'm still sitting with it. Because when something finally names what you've been living through, it hits differently. Like, oh, that's what it was? That wasn't normal? That wasn't love? I grew up with a narcissistic mother, and so much of my childhood was shaped by guilt, control, fear, and manipulation. And you don't always have the language for it when you're in it. You just learn to survive it. Until one day, something names it and everything clicks. And that someday is today with the Narcissistic Playbook. Thank you so much for listening to Beyond Mommy Dearest, and a huge thank you to Mark Vicente for such an honest and important conversation. Make sure to check the show notes for links to his work, including the Narcissistic Playbook. And if today's episode reminded you that your intuition has been trying to protect you all along, trust that voice. You're not broken, you adapted. Healing from a narcissistic mother is real, possible, and you never have to do it with shame. I'm your host, Noelani Pearl Hernandez, and until next time, take gentle care of yourself.
Your skin is a part of your nervous system, and taking care of it is essential to overall balance. Our products are specifically formulated to nourish your skin and bring you closer to homeostasis with every use. Start feeling better in your body today with the Happy Cannabis.